Welcome back to Originality Check, where we take a look at a park's coaster lineup and judge it based upon originality. To determine a coaster's originality, there are 3 points to check off. Point number 1 being that the coaster originally opened at the park and was not relocated from another park. The second point is that it is not a cloned model. And the third point is that it has an original name. I will give half points for certain circumstances, which we will see one in this video. At the end of the video, we will add up all the points and determine the park's originality. For this episode, we are going to take a look at Holiday World. Hey, it's been a while since I've made a video, so let's start small. Maybe next episode we'll do a bigger park. Besides, who doesn't love Holiday World? Now before we voyage into this video, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and like the video while you're at it. If you haven't subscribed yet, well, can't really say I blame you. I've been pretty inconsistent on here for all these years. But hey, life has been lifing. Just gotta roll with the punches. Enough life lessons. Just subscribe. You won't regret it. We're gonna go in order from the first coaster to the last coaster to open at the park. Holiday World has had 8 coasters in its history, giving the park 24 possible points to score. Many people assume that Raven was the first coaster at Holiday World, but there are 2 coasters that opened before Raven. The first coaster was called Children's Roller Coaster. Very original, huh? Off to a good start. I can't find any information as to when this coaster actually opened and operated at the park. All I could find was that this coaster did in fact operate at this park for some time. It was an Alan Herschel Little Dipper. I can't find out for sure whether this coaster originally opened at the park or not. Saying that RCDB doesn't have any other locations for this coaster, I'll assume that it did open originally at the park. So I'll give it a point there. Little Dippers were quite common back in the day, so this was a cloned model. As for the name, while there are other coasters with the same name, this was the first coaster to have that name, so I'll give it half a point there. 1.5 points for Children's Roller Coaster. The first coaster that we have definitive dates for is Firecracker. This coaster operated at the park from 1981 to 1997. This was a Pinfari Zyklon model, specifically the Z47 model. This coaster did originally open at Geauga Lake in 1976 and was relocated to Holiday World in 1980, where it operated at Holiday World until 1997. After that year, it was sold to Jolly Roger Amusement Park in Ocean City, Maryland, and it only operated there till 1998. After the 1998 season, the coaster was sold to Amusements of America, and it made a few appearances at the Ohio State Fair up until 2009. Needless to say, this coaster only spent a portion of its service life at Holiday World, and it did not begin its service life at the park, so no point there. This was also a cloned model, but surprisingly the name Firecracker has never been used for any other coasters. 1 point for Firecracker. Raven, opening in 1995 as the park's first major roller coaster. While being a shorter coaster in length, only about 2,800 feet of track, there's not a single dull moment on this coaster. Obviously this originally opened at the park and it is not a cloned model. And the name Raven has never been used before either, so 3 points for Raven. Howler, originally opening at the park in 1999. This is a Zamperla Gravity 80 standard family coaster, hence a cloned model, and the name has never been used before or since. Hey, that doesn't count. 2 points for Howler. Legend, a lateral-filled CCI coaster opening at the park in 2000. If you love laterals on a wooden coaster, this coaster is for you. I personally am not a big fan of laterals, but I gotta give credit where credit is due. Legend is fantastic at what it does, and it is definitely one of my favorite night rides on any coaster. Not my absolute favorite, but somewhere in top 10. This did originally open at the park. It's not a cloned model. However, the name Legend has been used before, with Legend at Arnold's Park, which opened in 1930. 2 points for Legend. Voyage, a Gravity Group masterpiece, opening in 2006. And this was Gravity Group's second project as a company. Most of the engineers for Gravity Group had previously worked for CCI, or Custom Coasters International, who had also built the 2 previous wooden coasters at Holiday World. Voyage is truly an engineering marvel, maximizing the use of its terrain and continuing to pick up speed throughout over 6,400 feet of track and never loses its pacing. This is my second favorite wooden coaster, hardly second to El Toro, cause, well, Toro. But I could totally see why this would be some people's favorite wooden coaster. I get it. Voyage is about as original as it gets. 3 points for Voyage. Thunderbird, opening in 2015. This was the first B&M launched wing coaster. As of now, this is my favorite wing coaster period, but I have a feeling that Rapterra at King's Dominion could give it a run for its money. I guess we'll find out later this year. This originally opened at the park. It's not a cloned model, but the name Thunderbird has been used before at Power Park in Finland. 2 points for Thunderbird. Good Gravy, opening in 2024. This coaster definitely filled in a gap that the park had for quite a while. While the park already had Howler, they were missing a solid family coaster, and Good Gravy fills that gap. And this coaster is about as original as it gets, along with some impressive theming too. 3 points for Good Gravy. Alright, and that's all the coasters for Holiday World. There were 24 possible points to score, and Holiday World scored 17.5 points, giving the coasters at Holiday World 73% originality. This was a little bit lower than I was expecting Holiday World to score, but when there's only 8 coasters to judge, every point counts. Does this score surprise you? Comment down below. And that'll do it for this episode of Originality Check. What parks would you guys like to see in this series for future episodes? I've done a small handful of these episodes already, and I have my eyes on many more parks for this series, so let me know what you'd like to see next. Alright guys, I've wrapped the video up here. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next loop.